Week 4 of the Massachusetts high school football season, and that means it's the beginning of hakam season as well. And what a way to kick that off than our Game of the Week matchup coming up here in Mansfield, North Attleboro, Mansfield. Once again, folks, we'd like to welcome you into our weekly preview show. As always, I'm Scott Barboza. He's Brennan Hall. We'd like to remind you folks that this segment is brought to you by our good friends at Sports Authority and Bay State Games. Sports Authority, all things sporting good, are proud supporters of the Bay State Games, the state's largest amateur athletic festival. Now, Brennan, this is always an appointment date every year. Usually this happens a little bit later in the season. November, you get a cold weather game. You never know what's going to happen, but man, kicking off the Kelly Rec schedule in a big way here.
You can't get better than this, but you look around that Kelly Rec division and look at all the games that are going on. I think Franklin Attleboro is going to be a big one. King Philip Taunton, another big one. But it never gets any bigger than Mansfield North Attleboro. I'd say outside of Thanksgiving, this is probably the most competitive rivalry in the Hockomock League. And the Hockomock in itself is kind of its own fraternity. But, boy, does the intensity turn up to 11 during North Attleboro Mansfield week.
Nice little Spinal Tap reference
Absolutely,
there.
Absolutely.
Now, as you mentioned, this has been kind of interesting. A lot of teams at 2-0 here in this Kelly Rex division. North Attleboro, maybe coming into the season, we probably didn't think that maybe they would be among that group.
Yeah, you look at around the league and some of the other teams. We knew King Philip would be good. Attleboro has been a bit of a surprise. Franklin came storming out of the gates week 1 against Framingham. Took one on the chin last week in New Bedford, but certainly they've been performing well. They've been another team to look out for. North Attleboro, you just look at what they lost last year, and people assume that if it was any year there'd be a down year because there aren't many in North Attleboro, that this would be the year. But they come out of the gates really swinging. BC High, they came out, and that was a big upset for them, I think. I think BC High really needed the points there, and they lost again to North Attleboro. And then following up with a big win over Bishop Feehan, another team, a team that started in our top 25 for the year, but has quickly fallen out of contention. But really, this is same old, same old. It almost seems like next man up, whoever's up, ready to roll.
Yeah, you talk about next man up. It's going to be a tough one. North, obviously, a really tough scene to watch last week. Matt Titilio, a really, one of those prototypical North two-way kids, hard-nosed, 5'9", plays like he's 6'5". Tough, really tough injury there. He had 15 tackles week 1 against BC High. He was a huge part of that. So it's going to be tough for North to replace there. I know Chris Hunter stepped up and filled a big void there last week in that nice win against Feehan. But, as you mentioned, with North, it's always next man up, and they just find a way to get it done. It's going to be interesting, though, but because, talking here about this group in Mansfield, obviously we all know what they did week 1 against Dunbar down in Baltimore, but this is a team, too, that's also kind of getting stronger as weeks go on here, coming off a bye week as well.
And they've still got 5 starters missing due to injury. That's the other thing to keep aware of. I mean, we've talked all year, all preseason around about when these guys get healthy, when these guys get healthy. We were projecting a late September where a lot of these guys come back, and we still got 5 starters out. So it's almost interesting to imagine what they could be maybe a month from now, but still, this is an excellent group. Brendan Hill, benefactor. I think going into the season, you knew that he was going to get involved in multiple ways. He's a tight end, really in name only, sort of like some other tight ends you see in the NFL now. Jimmy Graham, Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Gates, just moving those guys around, interchangeable parts. He's a slot receiver. He's a split end. In trips they use him against the strength of formation, put him in isolation. At 6'5", he is a matchup problem. He can really split safeties downfield. He can block on the perimeter. He can do a lot of different things for you, and it's really opened up the playbook. 10 years ago, you never thought this would happen. You'd think 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But Reading has really gotten creative the last couple of years with his offense. Michael Hirschman seems to be getting more involved as the weeks go. Miguel Villar-Perez, he's been a big surprise early. A nice space player who gets involved in both the passing and running game, but certainly brings some balance to them. So there's a lot of nice interchangeable parts here from Mansfield, and really, I think they're just getting started. The book is just starting to open.
And, of course, big reason that brings that all together is Kyle Wisniewski, the quarterback. Brennan just caught up with him here.
All right, Kyle, Hockomock League play opens up this week for you guys, but more importantly, it's North Attleboro week. How's the environment this week?
It's been very intense. Practice all week's been intense. Even last week, everyone's ready to go. Everyone's ready to play.
It's always a big week for you guys when it's North Attleboro week, but with the new playoff system and a Hockomock League, it seems like between Taunton, Attleboro, KP, you guys there isn't 1 week off here. How much do those things compound this week as opposed to perhaps years past?
I try not to think about, I think as a team we try not to think about the weeks ahead, the games ahead. I think right now everyone's focused on North, everyone's focused on this week and this game plan and what we have to take care of Friday night.
Bit of a momentum swing, I think, from the first 2 weeks. Obviously, Dunbar was huge, and then following up with another nice win there, a shutout. And then you go into the bye week and you come out of here. Just how much momentum are you able to? Obviously, you still got some guys out, but how much momentum is there going into this game?
I think there's a lot. I think everyone's excited to be 2-0, and North's 2-0 too. They're going to be a great opponent, and I think everyone's ready to play Friday night.
I want to talk about Brendan Hill for a little bit. Obviously, he's led you guys in receiving the first 2 games, the way you guys have used him. A tight end only in name, really, a wide receiver by trade, it seems like, but just a really interchangeable part for you guys. How much does that open up the offense for you guys, not just last year, but this year as well?
A huge amount. You can line him up out wide, throw him like nines posts, you can throw him jump balls, or you can line him at tight end. He'll block, he'll run out routes, he'll run routes over the middle. He's very versatile, and that helps. You can get him the ball in any part of the field, and you'll know he'll catch it, you'll know he'll make a play, and that's huge.
Another key component, Miguel Villar Perez, bit of a surprise for you guys so far early in the season. Talk about how he's brought balance to this offense.
Well, he's helped a lot with the run game. Everyone's expecting us to come out and throw, but he's very capable running back. We've been playing together since freshman year, and we all know what he's capable of, and I think he's really just showing us what he can do. What
are you telling you guys heading into a game like this?
Just have fun and don't get too caught up in the moment, and just another football game. It's North Week, it's a big week. There'll be a lot of people here, but at the end of the day, it's another football game.
Thanks very much, Kyle. Now, Brennan, both of these lines last year were real forces. A lot of turnover in both of those groups, but we'll catch up with Steve Zieselman here, one of the great two-way players here from Mansfield, which has really kind of been the rule here with both of these programs. You see a lot of these players going both ways in the trenches, and a lot of them don't ever tap out, ever.
Yeah, and these are pretty athletic lines, too.
Yeah.
I looked last week to a team like Leominster, which probably averaged 190 going across, but absolutely controlled the line of scrimmage against a Lowell team that was bigger and more athletic and had a lot more finesse to it, a lot more unpredictability to it in the front seven. But those guys, they cut down the splits in a double wing, and they just overpowered them at the point of attack. You want some of the similarities here, where they're not the biggest guys, but they can get off the ball so quick, and they can attack you and trap you, and they do a lot of different things at the point of attack that makes them kind of unpredictable, and the same time very interesting to watch.
Yeah, North obviously, not always the biggest group, but last year they had those big bookends with Beckwith and Peters there. They're kind of back to their old form, kind of that 5'10", 210-pound. Evan Sweeney, obviously a great captain there, should be a player to watch too, but we caught up with another one here in Steve Zieselman.
All right, Steve. I don't think a lot needs to be said about this week. It's North Attleboro week. What's the intensity like in practice this week?
It's as high as it's ever going to be. North Attleboro week, one of our biggest rivals. Love playing the game. They beat us the last 2 years, so we're trying to make a statement this year.
You guys coming off a bye week, and obviously opened the season with one of the more impressive out-of-state victories a team from here has come the last couple of years, Dunbar, down in Maryland. How much did that change the dynamic of the team?
Not that much. We thought that we were going to win the game. It definitely pumped us up after we won, made us feel more confident about our team this year. But the bye week also helped get us ready for this week.
Scouting the Red Rocketeers, I know the perception was they'd be a little bit down this year, but obviously they were one of the best feeder programs around. What sticks out most about these guys when you scout them?
That they're just as good as they're ever going to be. They got everyone. They got not a lot of kids coming back, but they got kids in the program that are as good as they're going to be, get back, be as good as they are.
How much does the new playoff structure and the need to get these points, especially when you look at the rest of the Hockomock League, everyone's 2-0 in that Kelly Rex division. How much does all that compound what's normally a pretty intense week for you guys?
It definitely makes it big because it makes it a bigger game. Got to win it, get all the power points we can because, as you said, the Hawks very competitive this year, and it could easily be a tie for first place.
Thanks very much, Steve. Now, gone are the days of your, I guess you could say, your grandfather's Mansfield, Omari Walkers, guys like that aren't coming through the door here. But what you do have is Brennan Hill and a lot of athletes on the perimeter that are able to create plays, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, you mentioned gone are the days of those types of running plays, but gone are the days of a tight end just sitting in one spot and being in a three-point stance. You see in the NFL with Jimmy Graham, Rob Gronkowski, even like Jason Witten or guys of that ilk. They're just getting moved around a little bit more. They're in two-point stances. They're split wide. They're in the slot. Or they're just blocking the perimeter. They're sometimes even in the backfield as blocking fullback, like Brandon Holm. Whatever his name is, huh?
Yep.
Who Banamanoui. It's fun to pronounce, isn't it? No, so Brendan Hill is of that ilk. He really just kind of a tight end by name, but really a wide receiver by trade. He's in the slot. He goes short. He goes deep. He splits out wide. When they go to trips, he'll be lining up the opposite strength of formation, try to get an isolation, try to get a one-on-one. You can do a lot of different things with him, and he's 6'5". Yeah. He's a height mismatch for a lot of guys, at least 6 inches for most DBs he covers. You send him deep. He can split the safeties. He can come over the top. He can do just so many things. He's a great basketball player, too. The Hakam MVP last year as a sophomore, one of the toughest leagues in the state. Really exciting to see what he can do from here in. I mean, he's already done so much, and he's led the team receiving so far through 2 games. Really looking forward to seeing what he does this year and beyond.
Also somebody to contend with coming off that edge, too. Good
Absolutely.
luck to any tackle that gets lined up there, but let's get it straight on the story from Brendan Hill.
All right, Brendan, you open up Hawk League play this week, but it's North Attleboro week. Not a lot needs to be said. How's the intensity this week in practice?
Juices are flowing. Everybody. We actually had 2 weeks to prepare for them through because of the bye week. So everybody's just can't wait for it to be Friday. Can't wait to get out there. I mean, this is by far the biggest week of the year. Most excited any of us get. So.
You haven't had bye weeks typically in years past. What does that do? How valuable is that rather to preparing for a team like North Attleboro?
Yeah, some people have said like, oh, you guys don't have a game, it's a different rhythm, but we don't really see it like that at all. We see it as another week to prepare and get ready for them. So it's instrumental in preparation and knowing what we're doing. So I think it's actually really helpful.
I think the rep on these guys, perhaps going into the season, was maybe they'd be down a little bit after everything they graduated last year. But obviously, they've had a nice start. The BC High win, the Fian win. What sticks out most about these guys when you scout them?
They're always they're tough, physical, like hard-nosed football. They're really similar to us. So we don't ever take them lightly. No matter what, it's always going to be a rivalry. It's always going to be a good game, no matter what. No matter how many seniors are gone or whatever the next year. It's always going to be a good game.
Also, the passing game a little bit. Obviously, you're a big part of that. You've led the team in receiving both games. They like to put you on an island there, opposite strength of the field. They like to put you in the slot, tight end. What are you expecting as the weeks progress here? I assume somewhere down the line someone's going to bracket you, throw some double coverage on you. What kind of preparation has gone into week in, week out for you guys?
Me and Kyle Wisniewski, quarterback, we're always on the same page. We've been playing together for 3 years, both football and basketball. So we're on the same page for sure. And then that also opens up the running game if they try and do a little double coverage on me. So either way, we got the pass of the run, which is really helpful.
Thanks very much, Brendan. Now, we're going to cap things off here with Coach Redding in just a minute, Brendan. But, maybe some of the X factors you think coming into this matchup this weekend. Yeah,
well, obviously they're going to have to find a way to figure out how to solve Hill. Nobody's done that yet. Dunbar didn't know how to do that. Milton didn't know how to do that. They're going to have to figure that out first and foremost. Second of all, they're going to have to cage Kyle Wisniewski. I know he gets his rep as kind of a drop back passer, but he did have a bunch of rushing yards against Dunbar week 1. They're going to have to be disciplined. It's one thing to fly a field, it's another thing to just kind of sit and contain and force them to make decisions. They're really going to have to control the line of scrimmage too. They're going to have to disguise some blitzes. They're going to have to. You're going to have to play games with these guys a little bit, I think, to really get the edge.
I think another X factor, the bye week coming in.
Absolutely.
I think advantages Mansfield. You get another week to look at that North Attleboro offense. Not that they don't know what's coming there, but should be interesting. But let's get it from the head coach here, Coach Mike Redding.
It's North Attleboro week. What's the tempo like this week?
It's high intensity. I mean, we had the extra week with the bye, and it may have been a little too much practice time, but hopefully we use it to our benefit. They execute well on both sides. Paul Sullivan does a great job calling their offense. Donnie Johnson calls the D. They've got tough, old-school football players that play hard, and you have to earn every inch on offense. On defense, you have to cover every gap. So I think the 2 weeks have been good for us, but by this point, our guys are sick of practicing and ready to roll, but we definitely a higher level of intensity. It's a great rivalry, I think, as good as you get in Massachusetts.
I think obviously you have to throw the records out the window with this, but going into the season, I think that the perception was North Attleboro might be down a little bit this year, but then open up with a big win over BC High, and they follow up with another big win over Fian. What sticks out most about these guys on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around the league long enough. There's no such thing as a down North Attleboro team. They're too well coached. There's too much tradition, and I think those that don't know them may have saw, hey, look what all they graduated, but they've always got kids ready to step in and fill the shoes, and this year's no different. It's different names, but same type of players. And one thing I would like to say, I was sorry to see Matt DiTilio get hurt. I would have loved to compete against him. He's a great player. Our players have great respect for him, and we'll miss him being here as a player Friday night, but I'm sure he'll be a great leader for their team till he recovers from his injury. But I mean, it's a great way to start the league. Usually this one's November. Usually there's a lot on the line. Now we're starting a little earlier, but there's still a lot on the line here. I think you take control of your own destiny, number one. And but the good news with the new system, either team can lose and still be very much in the playoff race. So that's the benefit of the new system now, with the second place team can still get in.
Going back to that first weekend, how much did beating Dunbar change the dynamic of this squad, not just on the field, but just momentum, mental, everything?
Yeah, I think it did a lot of good things. The trip built, I think, a lot of team unity. Coming from behind after losing the lead did a lot for our character. We played some young guys that hadn't played varsity, were JV guys the year before, and to have the confidence that they could go into Baltimore at Dunbar and win a game in their first varsity start did a lot for confidence. So I think it just had a lot of dividends, and we got out of it fairly healthy, came back home, got another win under our belt. So, we knew we had some key guys back that were going to carry us, but now it's those complementary other players that are new to the varsity that I think have really come along the most, and those are the guys that are going to make or break our run here in the league title chase.
Thanks very much, Coach. Now that brings us to our favorite time of the week, which is the Pick-A-Rama. Brennan, you ready to go?
Hold on one second. Let me.
Wait.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, cool. Let's go. We got a lot of things to get to here this week. Big slate, big Friday here, really. But let's kick it off. Can Zavarian avoid the ESPN Boston curse going down to Barnstable?
Yeah, this is going to be quite an underrated matchup. Watching what Barnstable did against BC High, they cleaned up a lot of things from week one against TY. I thought they got really exposed. Derek Estes, really underappreciated at cornerback, really a shutdown kid. He really covers a lot of ground up there, and he kind of locks up his defenders when he's playing man coverage. That's gonna be an interesting match to see how they match him up. We saw Zavarian go to the air. We saw AJ King have two incredible touchdown catches there. I think this is going to be a really good matchup defensively. Barnstable gets after it in their back seven, as we know. Zavarian is a little bit more complex than in years past. They've opened up the book a little bit. But I think Zavarian does enough to win out here and avoid the curse of ESPN Boston. Hopefully putting that to rest, because I'm sick of hearing about it. No, Zavarian 21-12.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Zavarian as well. Yeah, I think this game will be a little bit closer. You get the bus legs, going down to the Cape on a Friday night. That can be a little dicey there. But again, special teams that we talked about, last weekend can be a real difference. I'm going to go with the Hawks. We'll call it 30-20. We're getting a lot of games this week, kind of interesting. We're getting into, now with the new playoff alignment and everything, teams that are doubling up on their Thanksgiving Day opponent. Perhaps the biggest one, we'll get to a couple later on here, but Central Catholic and Andover, game that typically decides the MVC large, kicking it off here in their league play.
Yeah, I still expect the league big crowd for this one. I mean, I know it's Thanksgiving rival, and people have kind of bellyached about having to. You know what, dude? It's your biggest rival. I think you're going to come out for it. And when has this ever been anticlimactic going into the second one? Am I right? Am I right? Yep. So besides that, Central Catholic, they got burned up a little bit by St. John's Prep last week. Obviously, the interception return they got on Sports Center by Johnny Thomas. Yep. But they're going to clean a lot of things up, I think, going into this week. Chuck Adamopoulos, always a great defensive coach and great at making defensive adjustments. Simply put, you just can't stop St. John's Prep. I don't know what – you can't stop Johnny Thomas. That's just been, figured out by now. But it is an interesting matchup. Andover likes to go double slot, likes to spread it out a little bit. Will Eikenberry, one of the more underrated two-way players, I think, north of Boston. But I think Central will clean up a lot of things. Andover still trying to find its identity, I think, offensively. But this is going to be a good matchup. Still, I think it's going to be high scoring, considering that the two best teams in the MVC, Lowell and Central Catholic, combined 73 points last week. I think we're in for another barn burner here in the MVC season. But give me Central Catholic 30-20.
I'm going the opposite way, actually. I think this is going to be a low-scoring defensive struggle. I really do. I think they're going to be ground and pound here. And in a game like that, I think that favors Central Catholic. I'm going to go Central 14-13. I'm going to go really low scoring there. Ooh. And let's get into some of the Hockomock slate here. Kelly Rex, I mean, all these games are going to be really critical in the longer, bigger picture here. Kick it off, KP and Taunton. Can the Tigers, I teased this a little bit earlier, I think maybe at some point this year, maybe the Tigers will get one of the big three teams here. Can they knock off King Philip?
Yeah, one of the interesting subplots here in the MIA is the return to the triple option. Taunton at the forefront of that, along with Brockton, Westfield, the number they're putting out there, Tewksbury, the numbers they're putting up with their offense. It's making a comeback here. Taunton's brand is similar to Brockton's with the way they use their wingbacks. However, this is a very good KP linebacking corps. Joe Johnston, Brett McAvoy. I expect them to fill the interior gaps and make life difficult. Give me KP in this one, 24-14.
Yeah, I think you're calling it right there, especially with this linebacking core. I think against perhaps maybe a more inexperienced group, be a little bit more of a problem, but I think KP takes it. It's going to be a close one, though. I'm going to go 28-27. Here's now another one. Franklin and Attleboro, again. Two teams come out of the gate looked, pretty good here, especially with Attleboro putting up all the points they have.
Yeah, Franklin looked good week one, that 40-0 win over Framingham, and then they sputtered last week against New Bedford, 20-14. Attleboro, I don't think gets talked about enough. They have a huge defensive line. They have a 6'10", 280-pound D tackle opposite a 6'3", 235 sophomore. How often do you have that in the state, huh? But the offense is a little bit underrated here. Luke Morrison, the tight end. We talk about quality tight ends. He's up there with the best of them. Tim Walsh, a quarterback. He's put up a number of yards. And then watch out for this junior, Brendan Massey. A little bit underrated there. I think they're going to give Frank a little bit more than they can handle, and I think they're going to be talked a lot more after this week. Attleboro, 31-19.
Yeah, Blue Bombardiers got it going in a big way. I think they'll put up some more points, too. I'm going to go 35-28 with Attleboro. You mentioned with the triple option there just momentarily, Putnam and Westfield, again, another team in Westfield that's been putting up some really crazy video game numbers early on.
Putnam started off pretty hot. Jaleel Kyles had an incredible opening to the season, but this Westfield team's a real deal. Okay. They put I don't know how many yards they put up against Amherst week one, but they put up 350 against Westside last week, and 306 of that came in the first half. That just tells you what kind of attack they got. The triple option still works, and Ben Geschwin is at the full front of that. 3-year starter, fullback. He's a load to handle, even though he's about 190 pounds, 200 or so. I think Putnam, they've gotten a lot of hype. I think we're still waiting for them to prove it. I think we looked 2 years ago to the Melquan Pinckney era, and what a big era, but I think they're still trying to find their identity. I see Westfield winning this one 35-20.
I think the Bombers live up to their name, and they're not slowing down anytime soon. I'm going to go 42-34.
Great helmets, by the way, if you check them out.
Awesome. I mean, you got to integrate that Jets. Maybe the New York Jets could,
I don't think that'd look good for the New York Jets. No, that wouldn't be a good look.
Yeah,
Westfield, it works.
Nothing really looks good.
Great
anyway.
colors,
Let's go out to Central Mass here for a little bit. Leominster, obviously, looking like a real front runner in Division II across the state, and Shepherd Hill.
Yeah, Leominster, for all the good they've done, they never really blow teams out. I mean, the Lowell win was a really good win, but Lowell scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, even though the game was kind of already in hand. Leominster dominated time of possession. I don't think that needs to be stated enough. They had 15 more minutes time of possession in the first half against Lowell. Couldn't even let them get started, and by that they were starting to put the game out of reach. We saw a lot of double wing in that game too, and Shepherd Hill's a double wing team. I wonder if they match double on double, or if they try to spread it out here. I mean, Palazzi is one of the best game managers, one of the best play callers. I really think he'll have something cooked up here based on what he sees. I wonder if they throw it around a little bit more than they did last week. And containing Austin Jones, the Shepherd Hill lineman, he's a load to handle. This is going to be an interesting matchup. However, Leominster just does enough to the end, as they always do, 21-12.
Yeah, I think it's all about time of possession, clock management, all that good stuff. I'm going to go with the Blue Devils as well. Call it 28-21. Another one, man, the town of Plymouth might burn down here. North, south, it's not Thanksgiving Day game, but this could be an intriguing one.
A bit perplexing, I think. Plymouth North comes out and they handle DY really,
Yeah.
and then they kind of cough one up against Mansfield last week. People thought Mansfield was a little bit down again this year.
First word in a couple of years.
Yeah, and then Plymouth South was in a fight with Sandwich, 21-7.
Yep.
Dylan Oxen 250 yards, but simply, as one coach in that league told me last week, he's the best player south of Boston.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you stop him? You can
Yep.
only hope to contain him a little bit before he breaks out, and that's going to be a difference here. I see Plymouth South winning this one 17-10.
Yeah, I'm going to go with South as well. But I think this, again, it's a rivalry game. It's your Thanksgiving Day rival. People are going to come out. I don't buy that whole it diminishes the rivalry or anything like that. I'm going to go with South. We'll call it 16-14, very close. Let's go to Saturday's slate here for a little while in Central Mass. Auburn going to be licking their wounds a little bit, and Northbridge squad, this, kind of diametrically opposed squads here.
Yeah, not sure what to make of this one. Another big night from Mark Wright over at Auburn. He's got a 550 yards. That's one of the top in the state. He's filled in the void pretty nicely in Auburn. Elsewhere, they have some questions, obviously, a lot of new faces. But Northbridge, that was a perplexing loss last week, 40-3. I mean, are you kidding me? I'm not sure what to make of this game, but I think Northbridge turns it around a little bit. They got a couple really nice linemen. I think they're going to push Auburn around a little bit. Give me Northbridge 26-16.
I like the athletes for Northbridge. I think they'll spread it out as they always do, and they'll run it a little bit better. I'm going to go to 27-23. Let's look at ISL real quick here. Perhaps the best game of the weekend with St. Seb's and Roxbury Latin.
That was a really impressive opening to the ISL last weekend. Really exciting games, but this is a really, really good matchup here. One of the best linebackers in the state, Connor Strahan, goes against one of the other best linebackers in the state, Kevin Kohei, who plays a tight end role on offense, but he's going to go as a linebacker to Boston College. Just to see how Strahan spies him, maybe, or conversely how Kohei kind of controls the linebacking corps there. Looking the other way, I just think Roxbury Latin is a little bit more in the tank. They got a little bit more to worry about, a little bit more versatility. I see them winning 23-20.
I'm going to go with St. Seb's getting off the snide. That tough loss against Milton Academy, obviously, but I think, offensively, I'm going to want to see how Roxbury Latin transforms coming into this year. I'm going to go with St. Seb's. We'll call it 24-21. Also on Saturday evening in the Catholic Central, this is going to be a really interesting game. Boston Cathedral and Pope John Paul.
We've kind of been monitoring the return of Kajante Hickman for Cathedral. He's had some knee injuries over the offseason. But Jamal Brevard-Jackson has stepped in pretty nicely. Great running threat of a quarterback. Gets a ton of yards in the ground. This is going to be a clinic offensively, no matter who wins this game. I think it's going to be high scoring. You saw Cathedral throw up 58 points last week. Pope John Paul has had some nice numbers. I think the key here is going to be Ryan Barabee, the quarterback for Pope John. He's had a really nice start to the season. I think it's a little bit understated. However, Cathedral gets done with a little bit more weapons on offense, 42-38.
I think it's going to be a tough one. Cathedral obviously coming off their Super Bowl run last year. They're kind of the team to beat. But I'm going to canonize the Popes, if you will, here and call it 31-21. Oh, boy. If we weren't Game of the Week here, very easily could be up in Danvers on Saturday, Everett, St. John's Prep.
St. John's Prep has looked really good these first couple of weeks. Nobody's been able to stop Johnny Thomas yet, and I've said earlier, I said you can only hope to contain him. None of those first three teams, that St. John's Prep played, had a unique interior defensive line weapon like Josh Palmer for Everett. He's low to the ground. He's 5'9", 5'10". He's about 200 pounds. He's your classic undersized speed rush interior defensive tackle, which you see less and less of in the college and pros. They're going to have to get off the ball quick against this kid. I think he can be the difference and really change the dynamic of how they utilize the running game. Really challenge them to go to the air more. And they have a terrific target in Jake Burke, but Everett has one of the best secondaries in the state, led by Lubin Figaro, Lucas Dennis. Just so many interchanging parts. And plus, the other thing here working in favor, John DiBiase was coming off a bye week. What is Everett's record under John DiBiase coming off of a bye week? It's got to be Belichick-like when you think about it. For those reasons, I think Everett can spoil Prep's nice start here. Give me Everett 25-20.
I think it's going to be tough. I think there's going to be an element of time of possession here, and whoever wins the turnover battle is really going to win this one. I don't think you're going to see all the flashy numbers from Johnny Thomas this week. They'll do just enough to stop him. Also, Raheem Wingard, I think we're going to see two really big rushing performances here on either side. But I'm going to side with Prep. I think it'll be a one-possession game. I'm going to go 27-20 with the Eagles, which then brings us to our game of the week back here Friday night, again with our friends from Sports Authority and Bay State Games, all that good stuff. Look forward here. North, Mansfield, what do you got?
Not a lot needs to be said about this one. You got to throw the records out no matter what you think about either team.
Yep.
When was the last time this game was decided by, more than 10 points?
Yeah.
Every year it gives you your money's worth, and I think it's going to be no different this year. But I just think the passing game is going to be a problem for North Attleboro. Just enough of a problem to win it out in the end. I got Mansfield 27-23.
I'm going to go with the Hornets as well. We'll make it unanimous. I'll call it by a score of 30-21. I think that's going to put a wrap for a very busy week. It's going to be a great Friday night. A lot of, again, key, pre-Thanksgiving league rivalries pretty much kicking off all over the state here this week. Be very telling for the playoff picture, too, I think, as well. But we'll put a wrap on it for now. I'm Scott Barboza for Brennan Hall. We'll see you next time on ESPNBoston.com High Schools.